Yeah, like I don't. Welcome everyone. Happy Tuesday. It is Big Effing Deal Day with me and the one and only JoJo from Jurors. Guys, we've got a lot of BFDs to talk about today because there's, another day that ends in Y, Joe. So every day there's a big fucking deal happening. But we're at war with Iran. There's a lot of other stuff going on too, but there's all kinds of BFDs. We've got two great guests joining us today. We've got Harry Dunn in 1 minute. We're going to talk about the J6 plaque and some of the stuff that's going on over at DHS, and because we haven't been together since Kristi Noem got the
No.
and then we also have another Siren contributor and our good friend Kai Von Schroff joining us after Harry to talk some more about DHS and some looksmaxing, because I don't know what that is, but it is something that the cool kids know all about.
Yeah.
And a couple other political things going on. And then of course Joe and I have our BFDs, which for me, it's Iran and Trump's commentary yesterday on things that are going on. And for you've got some things to say also about Fox News and Trump. So we have a packed show for you guys today. We're excited to talk about it. Let's bring Harry Dunn, our favorite, in right now. Harry, welcome, my dear friend, and congressional candidate again.
Yeah.
Officer Harry Dunn.
No, thanks. Good to be with y'all. You'll see how I just popped on with a smile because I'm just listening to y'all. Y'all just bring me such happiness, love catching up with you all. Because I have been not out of the loop, I guess, but we used to talk a lot. But I've been so busy with like what you just mentioned, me being a congressional candidate. So it's like we are, as of today, 105 days away from primary day, June 23rd. And just it's a full out sprint. And it's a lot. So I'm glad to be able to have a little bit of time to carve out with you all to talk about this January 6th plaque.
Yeah, well, I want to talk about the January 6th plaque, and I want to talk about your run for Congress. And look at you, the meat in this Jersey Girl sandwich, by the way. It doesn't get better than that. Just putting that out there. 2 days off to a pretty good start. Yeah, but before we get to the plaque, real quick, you are a tireless sort of public servant, honestly. What made you decide to do this again, to run for Congress again with this shit show and everything and all the vitriol? And I want to talk about that first, and then I want to get into the plaque.
Well, so so there were a lot of factors, right? But the number one thing that pushed me over the edge as I was considering it and doing this and that, I, like a lot of you all, remember it on a Saturday afternoon when we watched the news in the video in Minnesota of Alex Preddy getting murdered. That was the moment where I tried to not watch it. I was like, I'm not watching this. I'm having a good weekend. I'm supposed to be hanging out with friends, and I couldn't not watch it. So I put it off for like 2 hours. I was like, I've been good. I haven't. And then in a couple of chats, people were talking about it, and I was on the news. I was like, all right, let me look at this. And it was just so horrible. And in that moment, that was the moment that I said, all right, I'm absolutely doing this. But to even get to the point where I was considering it is because there's so much work to be done. And I just don't think that we have the luxury right now to sit down and just hope our way through this. I love Barack Obama. I love that message of hope that he always talks about. But I don't think hope is going to be what brings us out of this. Just hope that Donald Trump doesn't do this. Hope that the administration doesn't do this. It's going to take actual effort and boots on the ground effort of people actually doing the work, rolling up your sleeves, doing things that you don't usually do, being in uncomfortable spaces to save us the discomfort of years, decades, generations going forward that we're going to have to suffer through if we don't do anything now. So, I've always tried to be solutions oriented instead of like going on social media and just saying, I'm so mad. I'm so mad. I'm so mad. All right. Just trying to do like righteous anger. Let's do something about it. And that's always been my motivation to say, all right, it's bad. Or what do we do about it? So.
And this is why we love you. And you do it with a smile. You are a happy warrior. And I think that, if anybody ever questions your resilience or your fight, they're insane, because you seem to be able to combine being a happy warrior and also very intense and commit in
Yeah.
your commitment for your fight in this here. And I think that's
Mm.
part of your appeal. I talk about this a lot, that the difference between some of us that are in this space and others is that we do it from the heart.
Yeah.
And that, it comes, we say it with our chest.
Yeah.
And that is something that I think people are looking for, and that people are hungry for, because there's so many people are so disingenuous in this space, and that's certainly not you or the people that you surround yourself with.
Yeah, so when you actually are doing something for the right reason, it's hard to be sad. Get right. A lot of people lead with, they're very disingenuous about their reasons, their motivations, their desire. Like, I just want to help. I want to be helpful. I want to be useful. I want to make this country better for people that are suffering. And that just gives me pleasure. The pleasure is when they're actually living the life that they are, they're living their best life, just to put it in a song of living my best life. um but that's my thing. And also, when you say I do it with a smile and everything like that, that's a tribute to my mental health and how I take it very seriously, and I don't let the negativity consume me. Or if it does consume me, which it kind of does, it's always on my mind, I use it in a way to motivate me to do something else. So I'm
Right.
always motivated by doing something and not just sitting around with this hatred and anger. I have it. It's absolutely there, but I know I'm smiling because I know that one day that I'm going to be successful in whatever the hell that I'm doing.
And I'm glad that you brought that up, because part of who you are and what you've done post January 6th is really lean into the importance of mental health for not just law enforcement officers, and but also for Black men
Yeah.
in mental health, because sometimes it's taboo in the Black community, and it's like you don't talk about it if you go to therapy or whatever. And that's crazy,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of trauma, and there's nothing wrong with therapy. I'm a big advocate for it. How whatever you need to do, there's no shame in that. And I think when they see someone like you say, listen, we need to take care of ourselves, and there is nothing wrong with talking to someone about things. There's nothing, wrong with that, whatever moniker you want to put to it. I think that representation is so, so, so important.
There's a lot of people that will make fun of you for showing emotion, showing vulnerability. It's not weakness. It's not at all. It's actually to the contrary. I think showing vulnerability and emotion is strength, because
Absolutely.
you're allowing yourself to put in a position where but you're still in control. Like I say, I may show emotion, I may show vulnerability. Hell, I got mocked and ridiculed for crying during my congressional testimony, and people were making me into the Jordan meme. I thought it was kind of funny, but like, I didn't care. Like,
Right.
I'm fine. Like, people like to bring people down to where they are. The
Right.
negative people, the trolls, because they're miserable. Their lives are horrible. They don't have friends. They didn't have their mother or father to give them a hug or kiss them, or friends that say, "Hey, you were my best friend." They didn't have that. So they want to bring you down to feel what it is like to be them.
Yep.
And it sucks for people like that. I feel for people that are very just living their life. Hell, I've watched some of your live streams, and some of the people that just in the comments are talking just so negative. Like, dude, go touch some grass or something, dude. Do
Right.
something. Like, what are you so
Right.
angry for? Like,
Yep.
we're here. We're happy with our lives. We're happy. We're not happy about the state of things, and we're actually trying to do something about it instead of just being trolls on the internet. So I just don't even pay attention to it. But there are people that will always embrace you and support you when you don't think that being vulnerable is for you. There are people
Yeah.
out there that absolutely embrace it.
Listen, there's strength in vulnerability, and it's the people, the whole toxic masculinity manosphere bullshit is the complete opposite, because they are cowards, and they are too afraid, because for whatever reasons, to express emotion. And so it's all
Yep.
pent up inside, because unfortunately, a lot of the younger generation doesn't touch grass. They sit inside and play video games in their basement, and they're losing human
That's all they
interaction.
do.
Yeah, and it's bad because human interaction is what develops your emotions and how you feel and how you respond to those things, and empathy, developing that for other people. And that's a much larger conversation that we could have all day long, on
Yeah.
another day.
How about that?
And
That's a whole different topic.
that is a whole different topic, which you and I should talk about that one day on my Substack on Uncompromised, because I think it's an important one, especially with what we're dealing with. And also it contributes to how men respond to women. And there's been some new studies coming out about, how younger generations they're not interacting with each other. They don't want to date. They're not having sex. They're not like, it's like they'd rather play video games or do it, or, artificially through pornography or whatever, because of the, just there's a lot going on. But anyway, hard turn. Back to, this is a hard turn. Just for those, and also for those who are wondering, Joe will be back. There was a technical issue. Don't worry, she's coming back. So we're figuring that out on the back end. But in the meantime, the show must go on.
The show must go on, yeah.
Yeah. So Harry, as you know, and for welcome to the new folks, I come from a law enforcement family. My husband is still currently a federal officer. My grandfather was a police officer for 40 years, captain of our hometown police department in Paramus, New Jersey. You know that this is a very important thing to me. I bleed blue. And what happened to you guys after January 6th, after the law was passed to have a plaque put in the Capitol honoring what you guys all went through and your heroic defense of our democracy and of the Capitol and of the fallen officers, all of that. It has been a 3-year protracted battle because those bastards Republicans in the Congress don't want to upset their dear leader and honor you guys. But yet they claim they back the blue, so they can fuck all the way off with that shit. But finally, but with a caveat, in the dead of night, they put the plaque up and they put it in an area where you can't really even see it. Talk about it, Harry.
Yeah. So I am proud that it's done. This is what we were fighting for. However, it's still in non-compliance. They're not in compliance of the law. The text, and also I'm gonna put a preface out there that I am going to be very cautious with what I say, because we are still, in fact, pursuing our lawsuit.
That's right.
For the to the January 6th plaque. This is a temporary solution, and it is not the permanent solution. I'm very thankful that it got to this, and Senator Tillis, I believe, through unanimous consent, got it hung in the Senate wing, the Senate side of the Capitol. But yeah, and actually the location of where it is, people will see that. People will notice that, not because they're supposed to. That area is not supposed to be seen by the public, but people will recognize that is because that is the area where some of the most brutal, violent fighting took place on January 6th inside the tunnel. So that is right outside that door. And I definitely understand the symbolism of putting it there. However, it is not an area accessible to the public. The only people that can go down that way is the staff. I don't really have a big beef about them doing it at 4 a.m. in the morning, only because that's when they do the work, when they install plaques, when they install statues and stuff. However, what they do usually immediately afterwards is has a ceremony.
A ceremony.
Correct.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. That's the problem. I mean, clearly you don't want, the banging and hammering or whatever when it's during business hours. Yeah. But the point was that they put it up on a weekend and then didn't say anything to anybody and didn't have a proper dedication ceremony for it, which is just despicable.
I wrestle with myself, and if there is a ceremony, would I go to it and all that stuff? I probably wouldn't, because it's so much. It's like pulling teeth. Like we had to force you to acknowledge us. We had to force you to recognize us. And I don't want to go to a ceremony for some photo ops where they can just, and then they'll post, hey, we support the blue. No, I will not be part of that. I'll go pay my respects to the plaque in private on my own time. But as far as going to a ceremony, I would not want to be involved with it. But it just goes to show 5 years after January 6th and 3 years after the deadline of when the law was passed, it just got put up. Hey, Joe.
Sorry.
It's okay. It happens. Welcome back. I held it down for us.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's always something. I think my computer has a concussion. Sorry, I missed this conversation about how they put it. Where did they put it, Harry? Sorry, real fast. And who made that decision? Mike Johnson made that decision?
No. So this was taken out of Mike Johnson's hands. So the Senate Actually, this is with Senator Tom Tillis.
Okay.
He's all of us, just so people remember, Tom Tillis is a Republican senator from North Carolina who is getting ready to retire. So all of a sudden his balls have dropped and he's decided to stand up and like, we're going to do this. I'm going to hold up nominees. You better fire Kristi Noem and you better put up the damn plaque. I mean,
profiles in courage, right?
He is showing a little bit of resolve. I will say one thing about him. He's been very consistent with the way that he treats the Capitol Police, and he has always had our backs. I don't agree with his policies, obviously, when it comes to obviously with a lot of the things that he supports with Trump's administration and everything like that. I don't support that at all. But he was the one that also tanked Ed Martin for being the district attorney, U.S. attorney in D.C. because of Ed Martin and the way that he viewed January 6th. Like January 6th is very important to Senator Tillis because he has a very good, strong relationship with the Capitol Police. And I acknowledge that. I appreciate that. While I don't support him in any of his other policies, but he's been pretty straightforward with the way that he treats us. So it is on the Senate wing of the Capitol, Joe, right outside the tunnel where the most violent fighting took place on January 6th. The door that leads that's right inside the door is where Daniel Hodges was trapped in the door. That is literally 2 feet from where the plaque is now. So, it is good that it is up, but as I said, our lawsuit still continues. And like I said, I'm going to be very careful what I say because it's still an active lawsuit, and I like to follow the rules. That I know a lot of the MAGA administration does not follow the rules when it comes to the court, but we're still going to be continuing with our lawsuit because this is just a temporary solution to the plaque saga, if you will.
Where is it supposed to go? What are you continuing with the lawsuit? And then we'll let you go.
What I'm understanding, it is the west front of the Capitol, outside where the public can see it.
Okay.
So that is the way that I understand it. That is the way that everybody else understands it, that I've talked to, reads that litigation, or excuse me, not even the law.
The law,
that is the way that it reads. So we'll have more forthcoming in the next couple of days, obviously, with the catching traction in the news, with them doing it, even as quietly as they did it. But yeah.
Well, we appreciate that, Harry. Thank you. And please, everyone, go support our good friend, Officer Harry Dunn. Let's make him Congressman Harry Dunn. He's running for Congress. What's the website, Harry, where people can send money to help you?
Harry Dunn 4MD. Harry Dunn 4MD. And you know,
.com?
Yes. Sorry. Yeah.
You better get used to it if you want people to send you money, Harry.
Auto competes when I type it in. It just auto competes, and I just take it. But no, so I mean that's just what we need, and it's just time. Listen, in normal circumstances, I wouldn't be running, and I would donate my $50 to my favorite candidate, put a yard sign up, and just say, "Yay, go team!" But nah, we can't hope our way through this. And I just say, I know that I'm a fighter. I know that I'm a servant. And that's why I am in this fight now, because we'll figure it out. We can't wait to figure it out. And when it keeps getting worse.
Amen to that.
So grateful for you, my friend.
Thank you, y'all. I appreciate y'all.
We love you, Harry. We'll talk to you soon. And I think you're going to be on with Joe this week again.
Yes, Joe and I will be having a more in-depth conversation. And you and I are going to do that that mental health thing.
On mental health.
Okay.
Absolutely. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye. Oh, a mental health conversation. That sounds great. That sounds wonderful.
I mean, well, Harry's a big advocate for mental health. Harry's a big advocate for mental health. And so we were talking about the stigma sometimes with men, and particularly in the Black community, with seeking proper care for trauma and mental health issues. So we will do a show on that. All right. While Joe figures out her audio, we're going to bring in our next guest for their next segment on Big Effing Deal. There he is, our good friend and contributor to The Siren, Kai Von Schroff. Welcome, my friend.
Good to see both of you.
Yes. And Joe,
I can hear you, but I can't hear Tara.
Oh, that's so weird.
It's one of those days for me, Kai Von. I will be right back. I don't know what's going on.
It's a day. But in the meanwhile, while Joe figures it out, she's got all the gremlins in her computer today, my dear. Welcome.
Welcome. Good to see you.
So Kai Von, for those who don't know, he is a lawyer. He's a Democratic strategist. He is a pundit on TV. He's a fantastic writer. He is on Substack. He writes for the Daily Beast. He writes for the Bulwark. He's everywhere, and also knows a little something about social. So we were just thrilled to have you to talk about some things because, like, there's a lot going on. And we were just talking to Harry, and I want to talk about DHS first because you have something in common with another friend of ours, Kurt Bardella. I've known Kurt for 20 years, and Kurt just started a Substack called The Watchdog. And the DHS situation has been crazy. And yes, Kristi Noem is out on her ass at DHS, but unfortunately, she's been put into some made-up position as a special envoy to the Shield of the Americas, right? Whatever the fuck that is. And there have been more stories, and part of the reason why she got fired was because of this ad contract. It was $200 something million to do these ads, this ad campaign, and we all watched this. And this actually, ProPublica exposed this first, but this had been the rumors about this for months before, and then all of a sudden it started to gain traction. And because people were just so pissed off at Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski for their gallivanting around in private jets and on the taxpayer dime and their affair and just her fucking up DHS. So you wrote an article about this as well and pointed out that there was a relationship between the no bid contract winner and Kristi Noem and her former spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin and her husband, the head of this group. Talk about, and you got a cease and desist or a correction on this.
Yeah, I got a legal letter from an attorney, not quite a cease and desist, but basically going into the nitty gritty of one sentence in an article that I had written for the Bulwark, which actually I will say I did not particularly put that sentence in, but it was linked to a ProPublica story, and it was frankly an opinion piece. So I never had anything like that happen before. And then, of course, 5 days later, Tricia McLaughlin was out of her job. And I think, my read on this, you tell me, because I know we were chatting about it yesterday, but was like people saw that Noem was on the way out, that McLaughlin was the face of all these lies and all these viral videos, like directly contradicting what video evidence was showing everybody. And I think they saw that, okay, maybe we'll be scapegoated and we're the ones that, were named in all this stuff. So it seems like they're extra nervous.
What was the line? Can you say it or you're not allowed to say it?
You can go see. This is like a little behind the scenes, and I know Tara is a pro, but I've written so many op-eds for national outlets, and I've never once had this happen to me where I got the letter. Frankly, I have no access, as you know, to editing the Bulwark, to correcting the Bulwark, and they have a very serious editorial process. I kind of sent it to them and was like, do we need to even change this? We linked to a ProPublica article, and it's an opinion piece. And also, I'm not sure that the correction even corrects anything in the article. It's just additional detail. It was very strange. They never really responded, but they did add like a little correction. So who knows?
Yes, sometimes when you deal with editors, right? When you write for other publications, an editor, you say hand in your piece, the editor who reviews it will go in, and sometimes they will rearrange a sentence, they will maybe add something in for context, and it can be frustrating because you're like, that's what I meant, that's what I would have written, so sometimes it all depends on who your editor is and the relationship you have with them, but that it happens. So but it's clearly an intimidation.
I saw on Twitter too, they're like replying to everyone that mentions it, like, you will be getting a cease and desist. It's like, okay.
Well, they sent one to Kurt Bardella yesterday because he also wrote a piece out, exposing the corruption here. They lied and said that it was it went through a bidding process, which it did not. It was not a competitive bid. There was also a story, I don't know if we have the headline, about Kristi Noem's one of her deputies who completely screwed up this woman, this DHS chick here who's now running for Congress in Ohio. They ordered a bunch of trucks that were wrapped in ICE insignia, and the ICE agents, without asking ICE if this is what they wanted, and the ICE agents are like, we can't use this, we're not supposed to advertise, we're in the neighborhoods and stuff. You fucking morons.
So dumb.
Idiots.
Right. I know. And that woman is the same person who also like approved those contracts and like pushed that stuff through. Yeah, she's the same
Also,
person
just
that
to say,
went
I think like so the audience knows, I'm sure you two do, like most of these cease and desists or like legal letters are total bullshit. I mean, you are the standard for defamation in these situations would be so high. These are like absolutely public figures. There's been national reporting about this story. And so the idea that you would hold anyone accountable for it in any credible way is ludicrous. And so I don't know why people would roll over to that, but it's certainly interesting to watch how aggressive they're being about it, which really does suggest it's going to blow up. So let's see.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that corruption, though, because Tara touched on it briefly. We kind of been skirting around it, but this is just one of, it's like a Russian nesting doll of corruption when it comes to all the departments, but DHS is rife with it, with Corey Lewandowski in there, her special government employee. I'm sorry, every time they said it, I was like... like, come on. But like he's making deals, hiring people. He's getting a cut of all these things, the 220, the fact that I agree with Tara. I think that I don't think that it's that she was being corrupt that got her fired. I think that it was, she dropped Trump's name in connection with the corruption, and Trump has been infamous for plausible deniability by having enough distance between him and any kind of corruption. But so there's the 220, there's all these other things. Let's talk about some of the corruption that probably is not the reason she was fired on its face.
Right.
But,
of course not. No, it's because it made Trump look bad. And he called up Senator Kennedy right away, was like, I didn't know anything about this. And so whether he did or didn't doesn't matter, because he's a liar. So we can't.
She tied him to it.
She tied him to it. And that was a big no-no. Not disappearing people, not people getting murdered and executed in, U.S. streets. None of that. None of that shit. It was that.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. So, but what was it? The 220 was the like riding around on a horse.
Yeah.
Sam has a graphic. There's a really good graphic for movies that were made for less. I think he has that graphic.
Exactly. And what's crazy is I think at the hearing, she's also like, well, this created X amount of impressions. It's like, so you paid something like $70 so per impression. And we all know online and social media how insane that is, like, and an impression that they then claim caused these people to self-deport because they saw Christine on the horse is like the most ridiculous thing.
It's absurd.
Christine Nome needs to self-deport.
There you go.
Yeah. Other movies that cost less. I mean,
about
do you want to read that? For people who are listening, we need to read what's on that graphic. It says movies that cost less to make than disgraced former DHS Secretary Kristi Noem's $220 million ad campaign. Iron Man, The Matrix, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, great movies, by the way.
Yes.
Top Gun Maverick, Barbie, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, The Hunger Games, and Oppenheimer. For fuck's sake.
Insane.
Yeah. And to accomplish absolutely nothing, for her to cosplay with her side piece and to line her pockets and her friends' pockets.
And her side pieces pockets.
Staying with her because he's so religious. I saw some article. It's like,
okay, wait, I'm sorry. I talked over you on that. Say that again.
The husband apparently is like staying with her, because I was wondering too. I was like, why would the guy like hang around? And it's apparently because he's so deeply Christian.
I can't with these people. He was sitting there at the hearing when she was getting grilled.
They look really similar. They look so similar.
He looked a little out of place. I don't think that was his usual cuck chair. Sorry. Sorry.
Well done.
I love, do you guys follow that Louise Lucas?
No.
Virginia. She's the head of the Virginia House or Senate.
I know. Yeah, she's older.
Like wild stuff. Like, and she's like 70 or 80. It's like so fun to watch.
Yes, it's almost like who's that other? There's someone else that's like older. Oh, like the fake Dionne Warwick.
Yeah.
But Noam never denied it. She never ever denied her relationship with Corey. She never said absolutely not. I am glad two things happened. Well, three. Whatever the shield is, by the way, it looked like the Paw Patrol like branding on the shield of the Americas. But the shield thing, we can't sleep on that because it's like the Dunroe Doctrine Manifest Destiny bullshit, which is terrifying. Hello, God. Canada, like right. But like,
hold on, Joe. Didn't they call it? Didn't they unveil like a map or something where it's like the Greater North America or some bullshit?
Yes.
I commented on that. I'm like, it's giving Gilead meets Pan Am.
Yeah,
what the fuck?
Yeah, and it's no joke. Like it all seems like a joke, but it's not.
It's not.
Right? I mean, obviously, given all the other things that they're doing around the world, they have intentions of conquering Canada and the Americas to the south, Mexico, Panama, etc. I mean, it's nuts. But I'm glad that happened. I'm glad that at least she was taken out of that position. For it, just seeing somebody pay a price in any way. I'm glad that Tom Tillis called her out for murdering Cricket and that goat. I'm glad. Again, profiles and courage. He's on his way out the door, but he apparently loves dogs, and someone needed to speak up for Cricket.
Yes.
And I'm glad that several lawmakers asked her about her relationship with Corey Lewandowski. We were all just supposed to be like, oh, I guess it's just a given that she's, got this guy and he's just flying around the world on our dime and firing people for blankets and shit. I'm glad those three things happened last week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Rep Nagoose, I always read his name.
Yes, Nagoose.
Yeah, he's amazing. I love the one that really drilled down on this contract thing.
He did.
And so methodically and like really a good moment. And actually, he's had that like a couple times. I feel like he doesn't get enough attention.
I agree with you. He should be out there more. He should be out there more.
Like, personality, yeah, for sure.
He was an impeachment manager.
I was just going to say that's where I first discovered him.
Yeah.
It was during the impeachment hearings, and he was one of the best. I was like, who is this guy? He's a rising star. He needs to be out there more for Democrats. Yeah, he's fantastic.
And he pointed out that this company that got this contract, that they were 11 days old, that they didn't even have an office, that they had an
cease and desist email after.
Is that where you got it from? Those people?
No, but it's the same topic though. It's the same set of facts that they're focusing on. I mean, all of that.
Yeah.
So it is interesting to see. But I thought the other thing is interesting is Tillis is apparently his next target is Stephen Miller. So let's see if he can drive it home. That would be another good one. I will say, I saw this in Trump's first term. Part of, I think, the whole Trump approach is no consequences as long as you show loyalty. And in this case, once that dam starts to break and people see like, oh, well, maybe this will turn and blow back on me, suddenly you lose a lot of support, actually. And all those people willing to cover for you and lie for you and do all those things start to think twice. I mean, as dumb as it is, because we've been through this so many times, like, I think there is that naivety, like, with those people.
Yeah. I agree. But
here's the difference though, Joe. And it's that now he's a lame duck. See, the first time around, they were like, oh my God, he might get reelected. We're going to have to deal with this guy again. So we have to do whatever we can to keep him happy. At this point now, you're seeing a lot more Republicans start to stand up to him because their own asses are literally on the line and they want to outlast Donald Trump. And he's also acting crazier, more dementia-like, more out of control, and the country is way worse off than we were at this point the first time around because there were no adults in the room this time. There were last time trying to keep him in check. So like the shock and awe of the first term of all the norms he was breaking, there were still enough normies around to kind of keep the train on the tracks. Now we are fully off the fucking tracks, and these people in Congress are like, oh my God, how am I going to explain this to my constituents?
Right.
So,
and they're melting down. I mean, the MAGA coalition is absolutely fractured. I was just on air. I posted on my Instagram. You can see the guy like have his little meltdown. This PragerU guy defending how like MAGA's totally in unison and all this. And it's delusional. It's delusional. I mean, Tucker Carlson is throwing rocks. Megyn Kelly, right? I mean, these are the people. It's really a double-edged sword. As powerful as that right-wing media ecosystem is, that also gives them then the influence over the base to tell them, well, Trump's betrayed you, and where are we going next? Haven't seen JD Vance much around lately, and we're hearing a whole lot about Marco Rubio as well. So crazy to see. And of course, which has always been crazy to me, is we know that Tucker Carlson's son's deeply embedded in Vance's team. So he's got a watchful eye over there.
Yeah. I was on Piers Morgan's show. I swore I would never
on there. I feel like they only get like guys. It's always like a panel of 6 guys.
I literally swore I would never go back because he banned me. Piers banned me until I learned how to behave. He said, Jojo, you're banned from my show. And then I went back. I went back begrudgingly. I went back. But the thing about that panel that was so interesting to me was that it was me and a bunch of Trumpers, one guy is like sort of I guess, independent. I don't know what he is, libertarian or something. But it was that Ben Ferguson guy, and
Ben Ferguson was on there.
Yeah,
He's so obnoxious.
He was the only one. So Jack, how do you say his last name?
Posobiec.
Jack Posobiec, and this guy Dave Smith, somebody. Dave's the libertarian, but he's also a Trumper, a Trump voter.
So
And then right. But Jack and Dave were like, this Iran thing, this is it. Like, and it was interesting because they couched it as if he fucks this up. And I'm like, if
it's
we're already there.
Fucked up.
we had 6 troops gone at that point. We're already there. But they said if, and Dave was really no uncertain terms. He's like, this is the end of his presidency. And Jack couldn't defend it either. So yes, to Kaivan's point, they are fracturing big time over this no new wars shit. It was already, the cracks and fissures were already there. If the Epstein stuff is not going away, I think the Iran stuff for a lot of these bros is their exit ramp off, because they were really and are really freaked out by all the Epstein stuff that just keeps percolating and isn't going anywhere, and how they keep covering up and more information. So they're like, well, we can use this no new wars shit as our way out. And because they are definitely trying to like jettison right now.
That's so true. I think like one of the things that people take these podcasters too seriously, frankly.
Unfortunately.
But there's something so simple about their baseline approach. And it's on the left and the right, I will say, like the further left. They are just anti-authority, anti-power, anti-whatever is right in charge.
Yeah.
And so that's worked against Trump this time around, because he was out of office when it was 2024. So it was a benefit to him. And now he's in office, and they got to find the thing that allows them to be still angry, right? And I mean, I think it's valid to be angry about this, but I wouldn't take it as credible, or like they had some epiphany, or they were really committed to, isolationism in 2024. Much of this base will say whatever Trump says, but there is that sort of periphery of commentary class that like their whole shtick is just they have to be oppositional at all times.
Yeah.
So I think,
So true.
also unfortunately, applying that to midterms, I do think Democrats are going to succeed in midterms, but then you can expect, again, a lot of those voices, once Democrats have a little bit of control, to kind of flip and, probably go more towards the Keith Edwards route. So it's interesting to see.
Yeah.
Speaking of social media and look maxing, can you explain what this is? Speaking of like social media influencers and stuff, because
talk about.
Explain it to this old lady.
We need to talk about this. So actually Colbert did this on his show yesterday, so it's good timing. They brought it back up. There's this contingent of like Gen Z and Gen Alpha young men who are doing meth, taking all these supplements, and like literally hammering their face so they can have like a sharper jawline.
What?
What?
Yes,
wait a minute. Wait, you had me at doing meth.
Doing meth?
That's a thing?
Yeah. So they do all these things, anything to maximize their appearance. And
what?
It's kind of like a right-wing trend. Some people, if you followed like generally, you may have seen the main guy behind this. His name's Clavicular, and he went on.
Clavicular?
Yes.
Wait a minute. This is the guy that hangs out with the Tate brothers.
Exactly.
Right?
And
okay. And Barron Trump.
Oh, and he went on Michael Knowles' show and was like, Newsom's so much better looking than JD Vance. JD Vance is like fat and ugly, and we won't vote for him. Like if you saw that clip.
Wow.
But insane. Yeah, exactly.
This is the guy?
There you go. At the ready. Anyways, this is the crazy trend, but I will say, I think the reason it's worth talking about is because as Democrats and all these people obsess about winning people that look like that young male vote, which I think we've sort of made some headway on, but I do think actually there's an opening, which is that people weren't hammering their jaws when Joe Biden was president. And let me tell you why, because I do feel like things are so chaotic right now.
Speak for yourself.
Things are so chaotic. Yeah, I know. Hey, you got a bit of a chiseled look. But right, like you can't control your economy. You can't control whether you get a job. I heard Tara talking earlier with Harry about how like men are like really like trapped in this like porn cycle and gaming cycle and all of these things because they just have zero control over any aspect of their life, except these people feel they can control how they look, and that maybe, just maybe, if they look good enough, they will have like a chance at life, a chance at somebody liking them, a chance at a job opportunity, right? Like that is how bleak things are for these next generations. And
Jesus.
I do think that it's something to be, obviously it's outrageous, it's insane, but it's also serious in that sense. Like,
Yeah.
it's not something to just dismiss. It's really like an insane problem. And I think it's really concerning to see the New York Times and all these folks. I'm sure that picture you pulled is from, you know, one of these glossy style section, like, here's a cool trend write-ups that the media, the mainstream media and legacy media do. And it's actually so toxic and corrosive. So I think it is something people should focus on. And I think it is the type of thing, right? Like all the panic on transgenderism and all this stuff, right?
Right.
Like, what about this? Like,
Yeah,
imagine
which is
talk
way
about
more
the way
more
that
popular.
the right talks about and targets. Like, this is actually, like, this is an identity base. This is nothing. This is like, these people are doing harmful, crazy things. They're abusing drugs. They're abusing themselves. It's very strange, and they are right wing. And why is that? We should be asking that.
Yeah, and it has real substantive impacts. As the mom of a 16-year-old, my son's almost 17, right?
I was
In
gonna
his
ask.
peer groups, right?
No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Yeah, no, God, no hammers. My God. I mean, but appear at 16 and 17, appearance for these guys is everything that has pretty much always been true. But what I have seen in his peer group years in the making is this shift to the right, both in his peer group and in those who are modeling behavior, like his coaches and people in positions of, you know, influence over his life that aren't me. But the peer thing, I can see Leo talked about this when Donald Trump was running in 2024. He was like, Mom, my TikTok is full of videos that make him look cool, like make him look like a bro. And there has been, as you know, this move in that demographic further and further to the right, and it does have real life implications and impacts on society and on elections. You know, whether or not they're engaging with elections, but when they do start engaging with elections, who are they voting for and why? These guys, my son's peer group, think the Tate brothers are fucking badass alpha males, right? Like that's what's in their feed, right? And this informs who they vote for and why, and that's a very, very scary, troublesome trend.
Yes, and for those who don't know, the Tate brothers are sexual harassers, rapists, sex traffickers. They were under arrest in Romania for doing awful, horrible things to women, and then they were allowed to come to the U.S. and hang out with Barron Trump and the Trumps, and given basically, you know, free travel. And
just also little asterisks there. How creepy is it that these adult men are like partying and hanging out with 16-year-olds? It's
right.
Boys.
Well,
right?
it's par for the course.
Well, I mean, again, and that also is a tell for why they're so obsessed with the transgender stuff, which is so like so rare. Okay, it's like such a small fraction of what's happening in culture, yet they obsess over this. I mean, Trump just mentioned the transgender issue during a conversation about Iran about voting.
The SAVE Act. He's trying to get it to be part of the SAVE Act.
Right. It's crazy. It's like they are overly obsessed. It's like the pastors who speak so awfully about, homosexuality or gay marriage or whatever, and yet they're the ones that are over here having relationships with men. Like it's just the overcompensation makes you wonder. And it's so, a lot of these guys, and then we just saw, at least there was some justice with those property, the real estate brothers. What are they? Alexander brothers? What was their names?
Yeah. This whole Ivanka and Kushner properties. Yeah.
Again, they can't seem to not hang around with sexual assaulters and pedophiles. But these guys got convicted on that. And again, similar to the Tate brothers and stuff that they were doing, like drugging and raping women and parties and stuff.
11 women testified, I think, right? Something like that.
Yes. So, and this is, I've missed the stories on the left about these problems. I'm sure they're there somewhere, but the last, couple dozen stories about this pedophilia, sexual rape and assault and all of that is seemingly on the right.
Yep. It's true. It's 100% true. And every accusation is a confession every single time, but all worth paying close attention to.
Yes. Well, we're going to talk more about that as this election unfolds, because there is a very well-funded and organized effort on the right going after young men. The Turning Point USA juggernaut is really reaping the benefits of this on the right, unfortunately, because there has been no concerted effort anywhere closely as coordinated and as well funded on the left. But on the right, it has. I mean, Turning Point is a dangerous thing, and it's seeped into the political zeitgeist in ways that the trad wife stuff, they're coming after women, and injecting, this anti-birth control movement, this whole, don't go to college and have a career, graduate from high school, get married and pregnant. Like, it's nuts what's coming out of the Heritage Foundation. So there's a lot of this going on online that we need to pay attention to and combat. We have to. It's partially why we do these kinds of things. We got to get it in the elbow.
No, I will say, I know like we're probably at time, but like the left just has not responded at all to Turning Point. And I know that people think we have, because there's like the Brian Tyler Cohens and like a few of these folks, but I have to tell you, and this is nothing against them at all, promise you that, it isn't winning over. You have to sell cool. You have to seem edgy. You have to be contributing to culture in some way. You cannot be a Democratic talking head who just repeats and regurgitates what Hakeem Jeffries and Gavin Newsom say. And you can't, I mean, there's so many shows now. How many? Maybe like 10 shows on YouTube with millions of followers where all it is inviting a Democrat on to ask them 0 interesting questions to push back 0%. Like, maybe you ask them about APAC now. That's like the edgy thing to do. And like, I'm sure they have a heads up. There is no actual conversation. And I have to say, just ask yourself, what creators do Democrats have that a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old young man looks at and says, I want to be like that guy? And I'm not saying they have the judgment to know what's good and bad. And so a lot of those role models are bad, but certainly it's not who we have right now. Is all.
Yeah, and I would argue that one of the things that Turning Point has done so successfully is that they show up where these young people are in person, in real life, and engage with them on their turf, on their terms. We also don't have anything like that, and we need to have lots of things like that, and it's not impossible.
No, it just requires money and organization. So, the right has no problem. The billionaires on the right have no problem opening their wallets to finance this stuff. The left needs to get it together, because we don't have the equivalent on the pro-democracy side of things, and it shows. So we can only do what we can do. Well, Kai Von Schroff, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, my dear. We'll do more of this. We'll have you back. Tell folks where they can find you.
Yes. Give me a follow on Instagram if you're there. I'm just at Kai Von Schroff, how my name is spelled, and hope to catch you there.
Good.
Yeah, and look for some of your amazing pieces on the SirenNetwork.com, where you are a contributor, which is awesome, and we're so privileged and lucky to have you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, darling. See you later.
Good to see you guys.
Bye. Yeah, sorry about all my technical problems today. That was a great conversation. I had to drop off partway through. Oh my God, it's been one of those days.
We got you back.
I'm here.
So
I'm
at
here.
least it wasn't both of us.
No, God, that would be a disaster. By the way, did you see that Erica Kirk was appointed? Trump appointed her to the Air Force Academy Board to continue Charlie's legacy.
Shut the fuck up.
I wish I could make this shit up. I wish I could make it up.
God.
She's listed in the United States Air Force Academy Board as an appointee of President Trump. Yep. Yeah. I mean, President Trump made the perfect choice in appointing Erica Kirk to the U.S. Air Force Academy Board of Visitors, something. I mean, I
have so many things that I want to say right now.
Yeah. They feel like a poisonous mold that just infects everything. They infect everything. But we have some over it, speaking of infection and how they infect everything.
Yes, our BFDs we need to get to. I just want to.
Oh my God, I said over it again.
Okay.
There's that concussion brain. Dude, I'm sorry. First, full disclosure for the audience before, and I know we're running short on time. Some of you may have known this because I put it in my Substack, but I hit my head. It's such a dumb story. I hit my head in the most ridiculous way ever on a paper towel dispenser at the gym. I swear to God, it's a real thing. And I got a concussion on Thursday, and this is my first thing I've really done, and I'm still just weird. So I'm so sorry that I said I meant big fucking deal.
It's all right. I've got your back. I've got your back. And we need your brain to heal. We need your brilliant brain to heal.
Oh, thank you.
All good.
Good Lord.
Just another quick thing. While we were on air, apparently there's breaking news that the consulate in Canada, in Toronto or somewhere, shot at
last night, overnight. Yeah, 4 in the
overnight. So,
morning. Yeah.
like there was a press conference going on right as we were going live, and
Yeah.
that is also there were 3 attacks against temples, right?
Synagogues.
Synagogues
Yep.
up there too, and they're asking, was it related? And I mean, they didn't say yes or no. They're still
Nope.
investigating. But what do you think, folks? When you start a fucking war with Iran and
Right.
you and Israel and the US are out here, you know,
Mhm.
dropping bombs, and you know,
Yeah.
girls' schools are getting obliterated and things, like it doesn't exactly foment happy feelings toward the US or Canada or unfortunately the Jewish population in the world. So this is a problem, which leads into my BFD.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you guys have seen over the last couple of days the constant shifting of excuses and reasons why we're at war with Iran. Well, we are, we're not. We are, we're not. You know, it's about regime change. No, it isn't. It's about the nuclear program, but we destroyed that in June. It's about getting ballistic missiles, but wait a minute, that wasn't an imminent threat because they don't have ballistic missiles that can hit the U.S. according to most intelligence reports that are credible. So there were multiple shifting reasons, and then also there have been, you know, there's the investigation into what happened to this school, this girls' school,
Mhm.
and in the beginning was on the first day. There was some suspicion that it might have been us, or might have been Israel, might have been, and the Israelis came out right away and said, "No, the fuck, it wasn't us. Nope, wasn't us." They were very definitive about that. We not so much, because guess what? It was us.
Yeah.
And we were targeting a naval base that was in close proximity to the school, and unfortunately, this was part of a double tap and that was collateral damage, and they're still lying about it. And Donald Trump was asked about this, and this is what he said. Do we have the clip about the tomahawks? Okay, if we don't, that's all right. So he was asked about this, and Trump said, well, lots of people have tomahawks. Lots of
here we
people
go.
buy them. I think we have it.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Mr. President, you just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Even your defense secretary wouldn't say that when he was asked, standing over your shoulder on your plane on Saturday. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation. But tomahawks are used by others, as you know. Numerous other nations have tomahawks. They buy them from us. But I will certainly, whatever the report shows.
Okay, that's news. If that's the case, and Raytheon is selling Tomahawk missiles to Iran,
Which they're not.
which they're not, by the way, that's not a thing.
Nope.
But what? He's such a liar. Why
Liar.
don't people just let this go?
That reporter's question was a step forward, leaps and bounds forward from most of the reporter's questions,
Yes.
because at least he called him out on the truth. And by the way,
Right,
talk
in
about
real
double
time.
speak.
In real
Right.
time, because
Right.
because that was a follow-up to what he just said, that wasn't the first time he mentioned the Tomahawks. He said
No.
it before, because
Right.
the reports have come out that it was most likely us. It was us, okay?
Yeah.
And so they were asked about this.
There's footage of a tomahawk in the vicinity, and that school was part of a naval base before it was a school, but that was a long time ago. And there's information about the intelligence being wrong. They were using fucking Claude and Chat GPT and etc. Right? That they didn't have up-to-date intelligence. We have the tomahawk. We know we've seen the tomahawk striking in the area. And Trump has floated this thing before, and Hegseth, which is remarkable, has actually never once corroborated what Trump has said, but instead consistently says, we're investigating this. We are certainly investigating this. And then the second thing he says is, we are not the country that deliberately targets civilians.
Right.
He is not saying
deliberately.
right. That's doing all the work right there. And then he will pivot to Iran is. Hegseth knows. He knows that the truth is out there. But what Trump's calculus is, that double speak thing, is I don't know, and we're investigating it. What he is hoping, like everything else, is that if he just says those words, that people will gobble it up and move on, which is what they historically do on all things. We're talking about 165 casualties, most of them girls, most of them children.
Yes.
One of the most horrific civilian killings in our country's wartime history, right?
That we know of, yes.
And they're right, that we know, correct. And Donald Trump is lying. He is lying and expecting that that people will gloss over it and move on to the next thing.
Yes. And just one last thing, and then we'll hop over to your BFD. He's just been so flippant about what's happening here. And this goes along with the stories with them putting out those stupid fucking videos, making it look like with the movement scenes and video
Yeah.
games, along with war coming from the actual accounts, the White House account. Like, there's just so much disrespect of the seriousness of going to war and using the most lethal fighting force on the planet, which is our military, and putting our men and women in harm's way. The other thing that they're just acting like children dropping bombs here is this, that he made this comment yesterday at the retreat, the Republican retreat, about the ship that we torpedoed. Remember, Pete Hegseth was jumping around like an asshole, bragging about, oh, it's the first time we've torpedoed anything since World War II. Like that's something to brag about. Come to find out that it was an unarmed ship coming back from a training exercise, and there were people who survived it, and it was the Sri Lankan military that came out to rescue them. Like, this is like a war crime what they did, and this was Donald Trump's response to this whole thing. It's just fun and games. Take a listen.
Everybody understands it. Together with our Israeli partners, we're crushing the enemy in an overwhelming display of technical skill and military force. Iran's drone and missile capability is being utterly demolished. The Navy is gone. It's all lying at the bottom of the ocean. 46 ships. Can you believe it? In fact, I got a little upset with our people. I said, what quality of ship? Excellent, sir. Top of the line. I said, why did we just capture the ship? We could have used it. Why did we sink them? They said, it's more fun to sink them. I said, they like sinking them better. They say it's safer to sink them. I guess it's probably true.
It's more fun to sink them. And the audience laughs.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
History may not repeat itself, but it certainly does rhyme. We say this all the time, right? Part of how you are able to keep moving the line on atrocities is you consistently dehumanize and other those who you say are your adversaries. These are human beings in international waters on an unarmed ship, right? It's like the double tap strikes, which once again, where is that story, right? The media, they had this bone in their mouths, they dropped it, they moved on. We've still been carrying out these strikes, but these were human beings they left to drown. And there are, like you said, it is a war crime. There are rules of engagement that in most cases it is incumbent upon us to rescue those people. Like, it was incumbent upon us not to double tap strike that vessel off the coast of Venezuela when we knew that they were dying and needed help. But when he says this is fun, it dehumanizes them, so they're no longer people, so that he can keep moving the line. This is why he won't acknowledge that it was our likely mistake with the school, because then you add a human face to something, and he very much needs us not to have that, which is why he'll never acknowledge the survivors of Epstein. He'll never acknowledge them as human beings. You can't put a human face on things you need to stay in abstract.
Absolutely right. And that also speaks to the fact that he's a soulless, malignant narcissist, incapable of empathy at all, which makes him one of the more dangerous sociopaths ever to be in charge of anything. And yet here he is, and he demonstrates that every single day by his commentary, by his decision making, and also by the way that the press and members of Congress, who should be holding him accountable, treat him. It's the normalization of this, and that is one of the most dangerous parts of all this, which is why we have to continue to call it out, which leads to your BFD, Joe, because this was something else that just again demonstrates what a disrespectful motherfucker Donald Trump is when it comes to our military.
Yeah, I'm sure at this point very few people have missed this, but during the dignified transfer of remains of the 6, we have now 7 troops that we lost in this illegal illegal unconstitutional war of choice. At that transfer of remains, Donald Trump, a civilian, Donald Trump was wearing one of his own, likely Chinese-made hats.
Oh no, it was. Just so that you know, Joe, I talked about this on Mary Trump show yesterday, and only because of time, I didn't put in the chat. But it is one of his. It sold for $55 on his Trump Organization website, and he wore it the next day to golf.
Right, it's his golf hat. And
Yes.
I did there's a video I have right now on socials about this because this is the greatest disrespect. It's not just that he can't take off his hat, which is a common thing you are supposed to do, right?
Right.
Don't,
Everyone knows
and by the way, for the trolls in my fucking comments all over Twitter, etc., telling me that the other members of the military are wearing hats, just fucking Google it, okay? That is required. They are required. They are outside. They part of their uniform. They're supposed to wear a
That's
hat.
right.
He is
That's
not
right.
supposed to wear a hat. And it's not just that he couldn't take off his hat, okay? He was selling that hat. He was using those 6 heroes in front of their families for whom this was the worst day likely of their entire lives. There is the day before their child was killed, and there is the day after forever, where that child is never coming home. And that motherfucker, that sociopathic, malignantly narcissistic, self-serving, depraved, amoral, indecent, broken piece of shit motherfucker who sent those 6 troops to their graves didn't have enough respect in any bone in his body where he thought to himself, I'm not going to use this opportunity to make a commercial for my own merch. Also, I am not going to diminish their sacrifice by wearing this hat. All I have to do is take it off. And by the way, Sam, put this picture up, please. Not only did he do that, but he fucking fist bumped again. And I'm old enough to remember when on his way to Shanksville to honor the dead, the people who took that plane down to save some target, likely the White House, right, or Congress. When he was on his way to Shanksville, he did the same thing with the lip bite. I'm sorry, but I have such a difficult time with this. But the worst part, it's like, that's bad. This whole thing is a 9-layer dip of awful and depraved. But then Fox, don't ever call them news. They had the audacity when saying he attended the dignified transfer of remains because they knew that that hat was disrespectful. They played old footage of him at a different dignified transfer. The one, by the way, the last one we had, he skipped so he could host the Saudis at a golf event at Mar-a-Lago. But they showed old footage of him not wearing a hat because they didn't want their viewers to see the truth. And it is disgusting.
Do you have it? Yes.
Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary Lady Usha Vance attending a dignified transfer to honor the final homecoming of the 6 U.S. service members killed in Kuwait. The solemn ritual returns the remains of troops killed in action. It is considered one of the most somber duties of a commander-in-chief.
The one on the bottom is not from this event.
That is
Adam,
just
thank you very much.
crazy.
Before we move on, we want to acknowledge a mistake made earlier on our program during our
Bullshit.
coverage of yesterday's dignified transfer.
And they still don't show
we
it.
inadvertently aired video from an older dignified transfer instead of the ceremony that took place yesterday. We deeply regret the error and extend our respect and condolences to the service members' family.
Unbelievable. It's such bullshit. And it's all because they knew how bad this would be because Fox News is blared on all the military installations in the country, all over the damn place all the time. And it's dangerous because it's a propaganda lying network.
Correct.
And Vote Vets back in 2023 was like, they were very vocal about this. They had ads about it. They were trying to get Fox News taken out of military installations. And they were not successful in that. But unfortunately, this is what we have to deal with. And that's exactly why Fox did it. Bullshit that it was a mistake. They fucking did it on purpose.
Amen to all of that. And it just further enables and emboldens him to disrespect our troops. And you know how we've talked about this so many times, but it is one of the original sins with Donald Trump. It will forever bother me, will forever break my heart. The military is near and dear to my heart. And to know that he takes life so casually, that he sees these troops, these human beings, as trading cards, as props, as
political
playthings.
Props. Yeah. And it's since 2016 when he, skipped. Do you remember when he first skipped the Fox News debate because he was mad and then decided to go do something else? And then he was dedicating the money, $100,000. never, or $1 million and never sent the check to the veterans organization. And then he was shamed into finally sending it, I think, eventually, because people pointed out that the check never came. I mean, it's always looked at. He's always looked down on the military as suckers and losers. And why do they do it? And he's a draft dodger and all of it. He doesn't understand sacrifice, and he continues to disrespect them, and yet then tries to hide behind patriotism, the flag, and the tough guys of the military because he's such a fucking coward and wouldn't dare do it himself. So so frustrating. But anyway, so that on that note, that is our big effing deal episode of this week. I have to go hop and go do MSNBC in 20 minutes. So you guys can check me out over there on MS Now. I'm talking about the MAHA movement and women and what's going on with that whole Make America Healthy Again, RFK and vaccines and autism and all of this bullshit that they are just destroying our public health system. So I'll be over there. But thank you guys for joining us. Thank you to Harry and Kaivan and all of you who are watching us today. Please make sure you like and subscribe to The Siren. Make sure you like and subscribe to Joe's big Are You Effing Kidding Me on Substack, on my Substack, Uncompromised. And also, if you guys are getting ready for No Kings coming up on the 28th, I have a very cool merch shop over at my Uncompromised Substack. There's a link there, the profile. I have cool hats that are merch with a message like this one, Democracy Doesn't Defend Itself, and all kinds of things. Check that out over there as well. And if you're a paid subscriber, you get a discount.
Well, sorry about all my technical issues yet again. I think my phone and my computer have concussions.
It's all right.
Thank you as always.
We still got you, Joe. We got you.
Good Lord. Break a leg on MS Now. And thanks everybody in the chat. We cannot wait to see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.